now. This is our third attempt to do this. Just want to explain, okay?
Okay.
So we're losing it at this point.
Okay.
Rita, what does St. Patrick's Day mean to you, and how do you usually celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
Okay, well, nowadays I don't suppose we do anything particularly different with St. Patrick's Day. It is a bank holiday though, which of course means a day off work. However, in the lead up to St. Patrick's Day, because I work in a school, there's a lot of activity, and it is within now what's called Seacht na Gaeilge, which is a week of Irish, where we do a lot of extra traditional Irish activities, Irish dancing, poetry, storytelling,
and speaking Irish all the time.
So we tend not to do an awful lot now because I guess our children are older as well. But when the children were smaller, we always went to the parades. And when I was small, when I was young, it was a very important day in our house. And we always went to the local parades, and in fact used to tour around to visit lots of different parades. But it was especially important for us children because St. Patrick's Day would usually fall within Lent, and being a very good Holy Catholic family, and we all had to give up something for Lent, which usually meant sweets. And so my father would give us a reprieve on St. Patrick's Day. He said that God ordained it. I don't know whether that was true or not, but you were allowed to actually...
If your dad said it, it has to be true.
True. But we were always allowed to eat sweets, so we would stockpile in the weeks leading up to St. Patrick's Day and then stuff our faces.
She still stockpiles.
Stuff our faces on St. Patrick's Day, which is why actually I love St. Patrick's Day. Of course, we also wore green, as we're doing tonight, and our badges, while the adults always wore the shamrock, the children wore the badges. And usually there was a feis to go to, which is an Irish dancing competition, I'm sure you know. And we had 5 girls in our house, 4 boys, so one...
It was a big family.
Yes, a typical Irish family. St. Patrick would have approved, I'm sure. But usually we went to a feis because some child or other was bound to be dancing in a feis, or indeed playing a camogie or a hurling match on the day.
And what do you eat on St. Patrick's Day?
Well,
apart from chocolate?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we ate a lot of chocolate and sweets, and I don't remember eating anything special except it was probably more like a Sunday dinner. Because of course it was Mass on St. Patrick's Day, which I think people tend to forget nowadays. And our house, we got up on St. Patrick's Day and the first thing we did was go to Mass, and then come home for what would be considered a Sunday dinner.
Okay, will you go to Mass this year? How will you celebrate St. Patrick's Day this year?
I won't go to Mass.
Won't go to Mass?
That's because Mass isn't on.
I'll tell your dad.
But we could watch it on television if you wanted. But actually very little will happen.
Sing along with it.
We could. Very little will happen on St. Patrick's Day this year. Probably just hopefully if the weather is nice. And actually in my memory, for some reason, I always associate St. Patrick's Day with beautiful weather. And of course the daffodils are popping up just about that time in Ireland as well. So it's usually a lovely day. And probably go for a nice walk and maybe catch some of the parades on television. There'll be virtual parades. People from around the country will do parades in their homes and send them into RTE, which is the national television.
So we'll be doing a parade around the sitting room here
Possibly,
and send it in.
and record ourselves.
We could send it over to Alaska as well.
Good.
Now, this is your area of expertise. Who was St. Patrick?
Well, St. Patrick, as you know, was and is the patron saint of Ireland. He came here in 433, and is alleged to have driven the snakes or the demons out of Ireland and converted us pagans here to Christianity. What's interesting about us and St. Patrick and where we live is the fact that we are about 15 minutes or less drive from Tara Hill, which was the pagan capital of Ireland in St. Patrick's time. So there's a story that the king of Tara, the king of Ireland at the time, lit bonfires for the Feast of Ostra, which was a pagan festival that actually coincides with Easter festival, which of course is a Catholic Christian festival. So seemingly King Lear lit the bonfires on the hill of Tara, about 15 minutes away from here, and forbade everyone else in the country to light any bonfires that night. But St. Patrick defied him, and across the lands to the hill of Slane, he lit his own big bonfire And of course the king could see it, so he sent his soldiers over to St. Patrick. And the legend is that the soldiers tried their best to extinguish the fires, but they wouldn't go out because they were
God's fires.
God's fires and the fires of Christianity. So St. Patrick was brought over to Tara, and the story is that whilst he didn't manage to convert the king to Christianity, he did manage to convert a lot of the soldiers and the other druids. And while the king didn't convert to Christianity, he did allow him continue with his mission of conversion to Christianity throughout Ireland.
So that's how we all got it.
That's
And
how we
and
got
then
it.
he used the shamrock. The shamrock is symbolic for the Trinity, representing the tree leaves, representing the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And that's why Patrick used the shamrock to explain to the pagans what Christianity was, what the essence of God was, and the three persons in the one God, and so on. And that's why people wear shamrock. Well, real shamrock?
Well, I don't know. Real shamrock sometimes looks like a clump of moss from the garden, but a lot of people, the poor man's shamrock in Ireland is actually clover, and it's very hard to find shamrock, although people do grow it. I know they grow it, but I know certainly when we were growing up, sometimes you just picked up a lump of moss and stuck a few bits of clover through it and pretended you were wearing shamrock.
Okay. So, just you can check out your shamrock. If it's genuine, it's got 3 leaves on it. If it's got a white line going through it, it's probably clover. So, that's it. That's our shamrock. Okay.
So Lála Pádraig Sonadív Galéir, which is Irish for Happy St.
Patrick's Day to you all. And we might see you again soon.
So greetings from Tara, near Tara in County Meath in Ireland. And I hope you have a great day.
Slán.
Slán.
Bye-bye.